thing. But our lead this hour coming from the Sportsbook, where everyone's been buzzing about the end of that Ram 49er game. And if you're not familiar with the gambling world and all that, the reason this is a story, Rams coach Sean McVay decided to kick a field goal with 4 seconds remaining. The clock ran out. The team was down by 10 points against the 49ers. And you say, well, who cares about that? Well, the team was down 10 at the time. That kick moved a whole lot of money because the spread in that game had the Niners favored by 7.5 in Los Angeles, in the hood in Inglewood, with 60% of that money coming in on the Rams at one of the bigger sports books at 7.5. So that shifted the money in favor of the people that bet on the Rams and actually cost the bookmaker money. Boy, you hate to see that. Now, Sean McVay has now addressed the Komodo dragon in the room as to why he did that. I don't know if you heard what he had to say or not, possibly not. We have a couple of clips here we're going to play for you. As Warner Wolf used to say, we'll go to the audio tape. Here's Sean McVay talking in general about the strategy at the end of the game. Take a listen.
We were going to try to kick a field goal right once we got into, field goal position to then be able to kick an onside and try to give ourselves a real opportunity to win the game. By the time it got down to it, didn't anticipate that, in cut that we hit Puka running that long and just said, all right, just go ahead and kick the field goal. Felt like it was an opportunity to be able to, not leave Matthew susceptible to an unnecessary heave to the end zone and get an opportunity for our field goal operation.
All right, so he said, I didn't want to put Matthew Stafford out there to possibly injury, right? Leave him out there susceptible to a hit. That's what he applied. Of course, if they had made the field goal and had time left and had a Hail Mary, they would have absolutely tossed Matthew Stafford out to have the 49ers defense eat him alive. Now we get to the money quote. Here is the money quote. Sean McVay asked about the gambling angle to this and people not being happy, and he brought it up, and take a listen.
Apparently, artists told me there's a lot of people in Vegas pissed off about that decision. I clearly was not aware of that stuff.
Okay, not aware of it. He's talking about Artis, who's a big VP of communications for the Rams, who's been with the team since they were in St. Louis. So anyway, let us discuss the question. Sean McVay says he was unaware of the point spread. Are you in or out on this defense? So I've got True Serum, Kool-Aid, and military slang. Dadgummit. And here we go. So first of all, we like Sean McVay. We obviously like Sean McVay. The guy's been great. And the Rams are in a transitional period of time here, but they're fighting. They're certainly much better this year than they were last year. But in terms of Sean McVay's statement that there's a lot of people in Vegas pissed off about it, and he said he was not aware of that stuff, I am out on Sean McVay's defense. I'm out on this. Do not be gullible. Sean McVay knew what the point spread of this game was. All coaches are aware of that kind of stuff. And when you start out as a coach, you're aware of that for multiple reasons. But the coaches, one of the main reasons is these guys use this as motivation. They don't think you guys are going to win this game. You're a massive underdog in this game. It's the classic nobody believes in us trope, which I bring up all the time. And once that gets in your head, you will never unhear it. Athletes and coaches and people in sport saying that we won this game and nobody believed we could do it. It happens after every upset, every big game, every perceived upset. Teams win championships. Nobody believed in us. We overcame adversity, which is pretty much all that life is in anything that you do. Nothing goes perfectly. You don't start out with a certain roster and then keep the roster the entire year. People get hurt. Things happen. But that is a staple of athletic motivation. It's the nobody believed in us, and a big way to get that message across to your team is to say, look at the point spread. All right? So if you gave McVay truth serum, his answer would be much different. In a parallel dimension, I would also love a world where Sean McVay said that he kicked that field goal on purpose and he would do it again because he wanted to stick it to those annoying 49er fans. And he said, hey, if you can't win the game as a team, I want to at least cover the number because I want a reward for our Ram fans. That's what I want. Good teams win games. Great teams cover the spread. So the Rams are a great team right now. They're 2-0 against the spread. The fact that they're 1-1, that's a different conversation. All right, now secondly, next stop we go to Indy, where the Colts have a guy named Jim Bob Cooter as their offensive coordinator. Good name. Jim Bob said that the game plan will not change. They will not be scaling back the workload for Anthony Richardson. They've been running him a fair amount despite having a concussion in week 2 against the Texans. Jim Bob tells us that the quarterback runs, the scrambling, will always be a part of the Colts game plan with Anthony Richardson. He did say, though, that Mr. Cooter said that
Jim
Richardson,
Bob Cooter.
That's right, needs to find a way to limit the risk. He needs to protect himself more when he's running. So are the Colts making a mistake by continuing to expose Anthony Richardson to the running game as a rookie? So I am shaking my head no. I'm shaking my head no. They drafted Richardson for a reason. They thought he was going to be great. I'm skeptical. He's been better than I thought he was going to be. But the big selling point is what's in the box, what's in the toolbox. And running the ball is one of the things that separates Richardson from the rest of the competition. We just did a rant last hour in a previous hour on this show about Bryce Young, and Bryce Young is such a tiny human being that Carolina can't even run a quarterback keeper on short yardage situations because he's so small. Well, in Indianapolis, they don't have that problem. You look at Richardson, he's a very large human being. He crashes through walls of defenders like the Kool-Aid Man and shouts, "Oh, yeah," just like that. Now, sometimes he'll probably get his eyeballs knocked a little goofy, a little bit and all that from the Kool-Aid Man running into the wall. But you have to work your way through that. But that's the special ingredient in the martini mix. That's it. So take some ibuprofen and call it a day. All right, final thought. So let's head over to Gotham. Interesting story here involving a guy that was supposed to be a great defensive player who has not been a great defensive player, Kayvon Thibodeau of the Giants. He's a former Oregon Duck, quack, quack, quack. L.A. guy. Went to Dorsey High School in L.A. and then transferred out of there, went to a suburban high school. But Kayvon Thibodeau is being called out for a couple of reasons. Being a bad teammate and his play on the field. Now, TV cameras caught him sulking, what appeared to be sulking on the sidelines while his teammates were celebrating as they were coming back against the Arizona football team. Thibodeau, he grumbled that there are a lot of social media GMs out there, he said. He was talking particularly about the fact that he had 0 tackles, and people were calling him out on that. And Kayvon says that he was unable to make those tackles because the Cardinals kept running the ball away from him, implying that he is such a game changer that they were going away from where he was lined up. Thibodeau also said his lack of camaraderie, his lack of hanging out with his teammates. He said he was doing some deep thinking. He was visualizing the Giants comeback, and he was also praying. That's what he claimed. So how did you grade Kayvon Thibodeau's response to the critics he has now with the Giants? So this is military slang. It is FUBAR. That is the word, FUBAR. Thibodeau was billed as a transcendent, game-changing defensive player. He was part of a class in the draft a couple years ago with Aiden Hutchinson and Sauce Gardner. Aiden Hutchinson and Sauce Gardner. Now, those guys have proven to be as advertised. Kayvon, false advertising. Right? He has not proven to provide the fear factor. You don't need to worry about the social media GMs if you're Kayvon Thibodeau. That's not the real world. It's a zero-sum game. You need to worry about the fact you're not producing at a time you need to produce. You know, eggs is eggs, and your numbers suck. And Kayvon, I got my Thibodeaus mixed up. Kayvon Thibodeau needs to do better, right? Be better, upgrade his game, all of that.